Greetings, friends. You're on a channel where history comes alive and machines speak. Before we begin, do me a huge favor. If you love unconventional stories, detailed analysis, and immersing yourself in an era, hit that subscribe button and bell notification. It's important because today we're covering a monster, a legend, one of the most controversial and terrifying machines in history. We'll take it apart bolt by bolt, look at the economy, the people, the madness of that war, and I promise many details will shock you. And at the end of the story, I'm waiting for your comments, telling me what you think about this steel ghost. Let's go. There's this idea, a wonder weapon, Wunderwaffe. In the late stages of World War II for Germany, this wasn't just propaganda fantasy. It was the last straw grasped by the consciousness of an entire nation. When enemies are tightening the ring from the east and west, when cities are turning to dust under carpet bombing, you need to believe in something. You need a symbol, titanic and invincible, that by its very sight will instill terror in the enemy and hope in your own people. It was meant to be him, the Jagdtiger, the hunting tiger, but history decided otherwise. It turned this king of duels into a dark allegory of collapse. And now we'll understand why. To understand the Jagdtiger, we need to rewind a bit. 1941, 1942. The Blitzkrieg stalled near Moscow. The Sixth Army got bogged down at the walls of Stalingrad. American industry, that arsenal of democracy, as it was called, was just gaining momentum, but it was already clear its potential was inexhaustible. Germany, on the contrary, was fighting a war of attrition. Its resources, both human and material, were limited. And here, a key German military philosophy of the late war was born: quality versus quantity. We can't build 50,000 good tanks like the Allies, but we can build 500, no, even 50, incredible, perfect machines, each worth 10, or even 100 enemy ones. One Tiger against 10 Shermans. One Type 7 U-boat against an entire convoy. This is the logic of desperation, but also the logic of faith in technological superiority. And against this backdrop, the idea of a tank destroyer emerges. Not just a tank, but a specialized killer machine. Without a turret, it's cheaper and allows for a more powerful gun. The armor is thicker, the profile lower. This is a steel fist, clenched for one single crushing, deadly blow. The Germans had already had success with the Jagdpanther and the Ferdinand. But something greater was needed. The absolute. October 20th, 1943. In Hitler's headquarters, the Wolf's Lair, a wooden mock-up is presented. An imaginary machine based on the latest heavy tank, the King Tiger, but with a monstrous, hitherto unseen gun, the 128mm Pak 44. The Führer, always fond of gigantism and breakthrough projects, is impressed. He sees in this steel monster the solution to all problems. Here is the sniper that will pick off Russian T-34s and American Shermans from beyond the horizon, while remaining invulnerable. The order for series production is given. The vehicle receives the name Jagdtiger, Tiger Hunter? No, Hunting Tiger. The pinnacle of evolution. Now let's pause and look at the economics. 1944. Germany is under constant bombardment. The Henschel factories in Kassel, the Nibelungenwerk in Austria, they operate in conditions close to hell. Every ton of steel, every skilled worker is precious. And onto the assembly line goes a machine that consumes not just a lot, but a colossal amount of resources. This weight is 72 tons. That's the weight of 2 or 3 medium tanks. The metal needed for one Jagdtiger is enough for 3 Panthers. Its Maybach HL230P30 engine is an engineering masterpiece, but it was designed for 50 to 60-ton vehicles. Imagine putting the engine from a powerful SUV into a huge quarry dump truck. It will work at its limit, under strain, and won't last long. Production is a saga in itself. The running gear is extremely complex, with interleaved road wheels like the King Tigers. Assembly is meticulous work under conditions of shortage and haste. And field repairs? Almost impossible. You need a special crane, dozens of hours of work. And here a drama within German engineering thought unfolds. Do you know who offered an alternative? The legendary Ferdinand Porsche. Yes, the one whose cars would later conquer the world. He created a torsion bar suspension for the Jagdtiger. It was 2.6 tons lighter. Simpler, more reliable, it could be repaired right at the front. 7 prototype vehicles were made with it. And what do you think? The heavy, finicky Henschel running gear went into series production. Why? Bureaucracy, infighting in the armaments ministry, personal conflicts between Porsche and officials, and the desire to unify production with the King Tiger. Imagine. People are dying at the front, the country is on the brink, and decisions are made over ambitions and paperwork. Isn't that a symbol of the general chaos? And here he is, our hunter. Ready. Let's look at him through the eyes of the crew. 6 men in a steel box. 2 of them are loaders. Yes, 2. Because the shell for its main caliber, 128 millimeters, weighs 28 kilograms. That's like a weightlifting plate. Imagine. Stuffy, cramped, the smell of grease and cordite, ringing in the ears after a shot. And the shot isn't just a sound. It's a shockwave inside the fighting compartment. But what power! An armor-piercing shell leaves the barrel at 920 meters per second. At a range of 1,000 meters, the standard engagement distance for it, it could penetrate 200 millimeters of armor. No Allied tank could boast such frontal protection. The Sherman? This front is 90 millimeters at most. The Soviet IS-2? 120 millimeters at a steep angle. For the Jagdtiger, that's like paper. It could kill from ranges of 2.5 kilometers, remaining an invisible, invulnerable point on the horizon for the enemy. The front of its casemate, 250 millimeters of cast steel. That's half a meter. Not a single Allied anti-tank gun, not even the famous British 17-pounder, could penetrate it head-on, even point-blank. The crew inside felt like gods of war, until the first serious march. Because that's where the problems began. That overloaded engine. Top road speed, 36 kilometers per hour. In practice, on torn-up roads, often less than 20. Fuel consumption monstrous. A liter per kilometer, if not more. And where was Germany in 1945 supposed to get that much gasoline? There wasn't even enough for fighter aircraft. So picture the column. Several Jagdtigers, each on tracks almost a meter wide, crawling at walking speed. They couldn't leave hard roads. They'd sink in the mud. They couldn't cross most bridges. They'd collapse them. They were perfect targets for aircraft. Air supremacy had long belonged to the Allies. A British Typhoon fighter bomber or a Soviet Il-2 attack aircraft would appear. And that was it, they were done for. A bomb or rocket into the running gear, and the monster was immobilized. And to recover it, you needed either another Jagdtiger or a special giant recovery vehicle, which were almost non-existent. Statistics show more than half of all Jagdtigers produced were lost not in battle. They were abandoned due to breakdowns, due to fuel shortages. Crews were issued demolition charges to blow up their own vehicle when abandoning it, to prevent capture. How does it feel to know you're carrying explosives to destroy your own unparalleled weapon? But when this monster did finally reach the battlefield and took up position, it was a sight of the apocalypse. March 1945, the Western Front. The forests near the River Neckar. A group of Jagdtigers from the famous 653rd Heavy Tank Destroyer Battalion walks into an ambush. But they aren't ambushed. The Americans try to encircle them. Shermans attack. Waves of steel. And a slaughter begins. German gunners, veterans from the Eastern Front, work coldly and methodically. A shot. A flash in the distance. Another shot. Another flash. 11 Shermans turn into blazing wrecks in a few minutes. American shells bounce off the Jagdtiger's sloped front plate like peas off armor. It's not even a battle. It's a massacre. Another incident, near the town of Landenberg. A single Jagdtiger, taking up a good position on high ground, holds off the advance of an entire column. 25 knocked out tanks. 25. It was only destroyed when it ran out of ammunition and aircraft arrived. Tactically, an absolute triumph. One against dozens. Now let's look at the East. Here, the Jagdtiger faced a fundamentally different opponent, not just in terms of equipment but in philosophy. The Soviet answer to heavy German machines was the ISU-152, the Beast Slayer. Look at the table in the description. I analyzed it in detail, but right now, the main point is the absolute opposite. The Jagdtiger is a surgical scalpel, a super-precise gun for duels at gigantic ranges. The ISU-152 is a sledgehammer. Its 152 millimeters aren't for precise penetration. They're for demolition. A 48-kilogram high-explosive shell. A hit on a tiger's turret would rip it off its ring like a lid off a tin can. Yes, the ISU was less accurate, its armor thinner, 60 to 75 millimeters on the front versus 250 on the German. It couldn't duel at 2 kilometers. But it was simpler, much simpler, cheaper. They made thousands of them. 4,000 units versus 70 or 80 Jagdtigers. And the main thing, it was versatile. Assaulting fortifications? Yes. Infantry support? Yes. Fighting tanks? Absolutely. It was a workhorse of war, crude, reliable, and terribly effective. And here we come to the very essence. The Jagdtiger is an evolutionary dead end. It's the quintessence of the wonder weapon idea. It was created for a war that had already ended. A war of maneuvers, duels of tank aces, battles for kilometers. And in 1945, the war had become different. It was a war of masses, a war of logistics, a war of total air superiority. What is one perfect sniper worth if it runs out of fuel, its transmission breaks, and the bridge across the river is blown up? It becomes an immobile concrete firing point, a very expensive and useless one. When I look at the 3 surviving Jagdtigers in museums around the world, I don't see just a tank. I see a monument to human genius driven to madness by circumstances. I see the fruit of desperation and arrogance simultaneously. German engineers created perhaps the best anti-tank system of the war. But they created it for a country that no longer had a chance. They won many duels but lost absolutely every battle their machines participated in. So what is the Jagdtiger? It is not a hunter. It is a ghost. The ghost of that very Germany that tried to win the war with quality alone against the whole world. It is the steel embodiment of a simple truth. You don't win a war with the most perfect weapon, but with the right weapon, delivered in time and in sufficient numbers. You win a war with economy, logistics, resources. You win a war with people, not the genius designers in the rear, but the millions of soldiers at the front who must be confident that their vehicle will start in the morning, reach its position, and not stall at the critical moment. The Jagdtiger is a miracle that came too late. A hunter who took to the trail when the forest had already burned down. Friends, that's the story. Chilling, fascinating, like everything associated with the twilight of the Third Reich. So, what do you think? Was there any point in creating such wonder machines? Could several hundred Jagdtigers, produced on time and with different logistics, have changed anything? Or was it a dead-end waste of resources from the start? Let's discuss in the comments. Write your opinion, it's very important to me. And if this deep dive hooked you, if you want to keep hearing such detailed stories, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and don't miss the next video, where we'll smash another myth.